making the first presentation and wait a little more. We have currently 23 in the waiting room. So it's up to you if you want to begin quickly with the introduction or you want to wait just 1 or 2 minutes. But we will.
I will just wait maybe half a minute and then I can start.
Okay. Caro?
Guillermo, soy Santiago en el control, ¿me escuchás?
Santiago.
Empezamos cuando vos quieras.
Sí, ahora voy a dar para admitir.
Perfecto.
Para que entren todos.
Quedás al aire con el audio.
Oh, people are here. Hi, so we will begin in like less than 1 minute. We will wait for a couple of more people to join and then we will start. Okay. So
yes, perfect. Whenever you want, you are free to go.
Okay. 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 Hello, everyone. I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish, so and no any other language from your part of the world. So I'll speak English. So I'm speaking to you from Bratislava, which is capital of Slovakia. If you haven't heard about such a city, don't feel bad. Like almost no one heard, but I have a handy map here for you. So this is Slovakia. I work for a newspaper, Deník N, which is here in Slovakia and Czech Republic, which is just another small dot here on the left. And I want to tell you a story that starts with this picture. One more thing, like I will talk for maybe 20-25 minutes. I will show you some demos and show you some information, and then we have almost another half an hour for discussion. So you can write your questions either into chat now or during the presentation, or we can then speak it after the presentation via chat or via voice. So this is a strange picture from 2014. It's showing a front page of the newspaper where I used to work for, and the newsroom is empty because on that day the newspaper was bought by oligarch, which was connected with the biggest corruption scandal in the country. And together with about 40 other colleagues, we decided we don't want to work for such a guy. He should not own newspaper, or he should be in jail. So we quit and we decided to start our own newspaper. We started the print paper as well, which is very strange even for 2014, but we knew from so you can see it on the right here, but even we knew that obviously this is not going to be any business, and that's not how we are going to survive to print a newspaper. So we focus on the website, and we have very simple strategy. We said, okay, we know that the oligarch will actually work against us, like they will try to prevent people from giving us advertisement and so on. So our only chance for survival is actually if we bet on readers, right, on reader revenue. So we said, okay, all the long articles that you can see on the left, they will be paid. So there will be a paywall, and all the short articles in the middle, they will be free to attract people on the website. You can see from the structure of the revenues that we are doing all kind of different things, and we are doing books, and we are doing print ads and online ads and so on. But in the end, by far the biggest part actually comes from subscriptions after 5 years. This is how the numbers looks. This is what I'm usually showing when some publishers will ask me, okay, I want to start a subscription program, or I want to start like a membership, or I'm thinking about the paywall. What can I expect? How many people will actually pay? And this is kind of like the optimistic look on our actual numbers. So we have 1.5 million users on the website every month, and almost 4% of them we actually managed in 5 years. We managed to persuade to be paying us a monthly fee. 4% is very optimistic for most of the countries. Even aiming for 1% is usually a good start when people are starting the new project, but we can talk about it later. This is how our numbers look at the moment. So basically, we were losing a really lot of money in the first 2 years, and now we are quite profitable since 2018. This year, in 2020, we will have more than 5 million euros revenues and more than 1 million euros profit. So, how did we do this? Like, what are the secrets there? Basically, we decided from the beginning that we will only focus on two things. That's going to be journalism, obviously the number one, and also the software, the subscription software that we actually need to sell the journalism. If you look in the corner, if you look in the structure of the staff that we have, we started with 40 people. We had 0 non-journalists, so we had 40 journalists and no one else. Even like I was a journalist, our CEO was a journalist, so people just had to take different jobs. And even now we have in Slovakia 80 journalists, 10 software developers, and all the other companies just 10 people. So all the sales, ad sales, books, management, and so on. So we are really just focusing on those two things and like basically outsourcing everything else. So I only have one slide about journalism. Obviously, journalism is important, but I will talk more about the software. So just one slide about this. The key thing that we discovered is that when we started our own paper, we said, okay, we are going to do it how we want to do it. We are journalists, we want to write quality journalism. We don't want to do any clickbait, and we don't want to do any like cheap journalism. We are just going to be doing the things we like. So basically, the most expensive kind of journalism there is, right? So this is our actual list of best-selling articles in 5 years. Best-selling means articles that actually triggered the biggest number of new sales of subscriptions. So these are all in hundreds of new sales of subscriptions. And you can see number one is actually we send a reporter across the world to Belize, where we find some Slovak mafia guy. There's the picture in the background. That's not Slovakia, unfortunately, but that's Belize. And even like all other in top 5 are exactly the same kind of articles that are winning all the journalism prizes. So one great thing we discovered, probably the greatest thing about this business model, is that while before you wanted to have a lot of, if you are in advertising model, you wanted to have a lot of clicks on the website, because the more clicks, the more money you are getting from ads. And if you wanted to have a lot of clicks, you would write about sex and you would write about celebrities and so on. That was the model. Now there is actually very strong correlation between between what journalists want to write and between what readers actually want to pay for. People are not paying for clickbait. People are not paying for cheap, like easy journalism. They are actually paying most for investigative journalism and for long stories, for reportages and so on. So that's the great discovery on the journalism side. Now about the software. So we started preparing we started doing some software like 2 days after we left, but we just found some friends who said, okay, I will put together some like very basic CRM for you in 2 days so you can actually take payments. And we realized from the beginning that first we couldn't afford the software that was on the market, and second, it was not exactly doing what we wanted. Like if we wanted to base all the company on the subscriptions. So we started creating our own, and from the beginning we realized, okay, there are actually there is big mismatch between what people think is hard and what is actually hard. So even now when we are talking to publishers, everyone is for some reason talking about paywalls, so if I have a new publisher and they say, okay, we would like to have some subscriptions, but can you do the paywall for us, or where we can buy the paywall software? The paywall software is actually very easy to do. We have done this for a couple of times now in different companies. You can do it in CMS in 5 days if you have low traffic, or you can do it on the server side in 5 days, 10 days if you have high traffic. That's not an issue there. What publishers are not thinking about is like how hard the CRM and everything around the payments is going to be. So we discovered the CRM is actually by far the biggest part of the system we have. And like you need some basic things like how do I view the profile of the user, but then when it gets really complicated, it's okay, how do I connect different users together? So there is a mother account and daughter account. How do I create the business accounts? The most insane thing from everything we have done are upgrades, right? So it has to look very easy from the user perspective. Like we have you are buying Friday print edition and some level of online access, and now you want to switch to some completely different product. And how do we calculate how much you should pay and how much we can give you credit for, and so on. So that's one hard thing. The second hard thing is actually newsroom analytics that is actionable. So there are so many newsroom analytics tools, but for most of them, we realize that they are actually showing us too much information. Like they are showing information to reporters that they don't know what to do with, in a way. So we are very careful only to show some things that actually, if I'm showing you any number like 8, you should know what you should do if it's 8 and what you should do if it's 12, right? And I will show you in a second. So at some point, like very quickly, we actually got a big Google grant for the software. So we actually switched after about a year from developing proprietary software. We completely switched to open source development. So we said, okay, we are not only going to develop for ourselves, but we will give this out for free to anyone who actually wants it. They can take it and they can use it for free. So after these 5 years, we have these 5 kind of modules, and I will just show you some of the things that you can get for free as well if you want. But it's not all about getting the software, but it's about getting the ideas of what can actually be done and how you can actually build a system that will help you get more reader revenue, that will actually help you sell either subscriptions or get donations or basically get any money from the readers. So first, this is the user analytic for reporters. And as you can see, this looks quite similar to some other software you can find on the market, but first, it's free, so the price is better. Second, it's showing crucially, it's not only showing the number of readers at the moment. So these are the articles, like each article, how many people are reading it at the moment, but it shows how many people bought subscription because of this one. So you can see the one on the down, 233 people just bought a subscription because they wanted to finish this article. And the numbers and the colors are telling me what is the perspective of this article, right? So if the color on the right is very green, I can see this was a successful article, but there's not much is going to happen there, so it's going to die probably soon, like people will stop reading it. And if it's reversed, I can see, okay, I need to keep this article on top of the web page because it's still selling a lot and you can still sell a lot of subscriptions. You can see on top also, like there are some events. So this is the colors are showing me where the traffic is coming from. The lines are showing me where some events happened. So for example, we send mobile notification. There was something other that the reporters need to know about. So another thing that analytics is showing me is where those conversions are coming from. So where are the readers? Not where all the readers are coming from, so that's what the Google Analytics will show me as well, but what is the structure of the people who are actually paying, right? So you can see on the right side, there's conversion. It splits almost exactly in the middle to articles and non-articles, so the one on the bottom is conversion from articles, which means someone comes to the web page, he hits the paywall, and he has to pay, so he pays on the right side. And the other part is, okay, someone comes to some other page, not the article, let's say a promotion or front page, and then he pays. And you can see where those sources are coming from, right? So you can see if you look at social, you can clearly see people are clicking, not going to the front page, but people are clicking on the individual articles and then paying on the right. So one of the things we discovered, for example, is that it's absolutely not true that social is like low quality traffic. For conversions, like social is very high quality traffic. Like a lot of people actually click from Facebook and not just click, but actually pay. And you can see different behaviors for search, for example. In search, more people go to the front page and then pay. In email, it's more the same as a social. Some people go to front page, but some people also click from our newsletters. They click on newsletter and then realize they can't finish reading, so they will actually pay. So this is another like look that you have in the software. Now about the CRM. So the CRM is by far the biggest part, and then there are some easy parts inside. So this is the profile of user. It has a lot of information, but there is nothing like terribly sophisticated. You are just showing the information of the user. Where it gets more interesting is when you start showing not what's happening now, but what will be happening in the future. So on the left, this is actually today. So I was doing the screenshot today. And then you see, as you go right, it's tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and so on. And what I'm seeing is how many subscriptions will actually end on each day, how many of those subscribers already have new payment, how many of those will actually end and will not renew anymore, and so on. So I can see now there are not big spikes, but there is some spike on the right here at the middle of October. So then I will say, okay, let me see who are those people, why so many people are ending. Typically, it's like I had a special promotion 1 year ago and I gave them special price, and now they are ending on the same day. And I can just take that segment and I can do something with it, make a special marketing, give them some offer, and so on. This is another feature of the CRM that actually we realized, okay, this is a very crucial part of any system for any publisher. This is just showing you all kind of subscriptions that we had in 5 years. It's more than 200 kind of subscription. And if this sounds insane, it's actually insane, so I don't recommend anyone to have 200 different kinds of subscriptions. The reason why we have that is that we wanted to have a system where it's very, very easy to experiment. So, I wake up in the morning and I say, today I want to test a special promotion for pensioners or students or something like that. And I can actually first go here. I can create the special subscription type. I can say what they are getting, what kind of access, what services they get, and it's very easy to do. And then I will go to landing pages. So another thing that I'm usually saying, like, if you want to know how good is your software, like count how long it takes you to create a new package, new offer, because then you actually can create like landing pages. So here is one landing page for 99 cents for 2 months. So it's a trial. Here is another special landing page on the right for just one small city, like very heavy discount, but very local, only targeted for one small city, and so on, so that it gives you ability to actually do that. Yeah. And then, okay, what do you do next when you already like create this kind of packages? It's like usually saying like any idiot can sell a lot of subscriptions with a high discount, right? So if you sell a lot of subscriptions, it's not so hard if you discount, but you need to know what's happening later. And one example that we have in the software is that you can see it here on the COVID-19 data, right? So here is March, where everyone had a big spike. I'm sure those of you who have subscriptions had a big spike there as well. So it basically, the number of new subscriptions only in this one window basically doubled. And now I need to know, okay, what happens with those people? How many of them are actually staying? So I have this automatic analysis which tells me, okay, on the second month, actually you can see normally the retention after let's say 6 weeks is 85%. Here the retention went down, so it's 78, 77, but it's not too terrible. It's like 7% lower than pre-COVID. And after 4 months is actually like almost the same level, right? So here is what I see in the CRM. I don't just see how many people are buying, but I see how they are behaving and if they are actually quality buyers or if they will actually churn after some time. Another part of the system is mailer. and it's basically doing three things. It's sending newsletters, it's doing automated emails like new subscription, like new email, new password, and so on. And then you can send like one-time marketing emails, like here is the new promotion. So let me show you how the interface looks for like automated emails, right? So what do you want to happen after there is a new, for example, new user registration, right? So this is the interface. Basically, we are just drag and dropping different things. So here I said there is a new user. So I set a new condition. I said, did the payment fail or not? If the payment failed, then okay, show this banner saying, sorry, your payment failed, please try again. If not, then move to some other thing, so for example, send the welcome email saying, thank you, subscribed, and so on. This is very simplified. In reality, we call it spiders, these kind of interfaces. And in the reality, it's very, very complex. There are a lot of conditions, a lot of segments. But the key thing here is that you don't really need anyone to, you don't need a software developer. You don't need anyone to help you. Like anyone working in marketing can actually set up the whole system, can change it anytime he wants, and change what kind of emails you are sending, what kind of messages you are sending. The second thing I will show you is how our reporters are sending newsletters. So this is our WordPress site, and you can see I have just finished writing an article. So I will just click on one button which says create an email. Now Mailer took all the information from WordPress. It prepared two versions of the newsletter. So one version is for subscribers, second version is for non-subscribers, because only subscribers can read the whole text. It will actually do quite a lot of smart things. So if I have a YouTube video embedded in article on the website, it will go to YouTube, it will make a screenshot of the YouTube, replace the video with screenshot and say, okay, click here on the screenshot to watch the YouTube video, and so on. And you can see this video, just I recorded it today morning, and this video is 12 seconds, so it actually takes 12 seconds to our editor when he finished writing an article saying, okay, now I'm sending this newsletter. So it's all focused on saving as much time as possible to all the reporters and all the journalists. And then when you send the newsletter, this is what you will see. Again, in all the software, you will see the standard, the send rate, deliver rate, open rate, click rate. The one reason why we created this for ourselves is that we actually want to focus on conversion. So even if I'm sending normal newsletter, I'm always interested in how many people actually bought new subscription after they received the newsletter, and that's what I'm seeing here. So let me show you one more scenario, what typically happens, what kind of tools we saw that are the most crucial for actually selling subscriptions or selling memberships. So again, let's say I wake up in the morning, I say, there is a special segment of people I want to talk to today, and I want to try some special promotion for them. So first we have a tool which is called Segment Maker. So basically I will say, okay, give me people who are only active. I can see on the right side how many of those users I have in database. And then I will go through different criteria. So I said here, give me people who did more than 5 payments. So it will be something focused on heavy subscribers. Then give me people who only have recurring payments at the moment. So again, on the right, you see how many of those there are. And on the bottom, you can see what is the total of all those segments. And now I'm saying, okay, and I'm only interested in those who have a print subscription on Friday, normal print subscription, and special club subscription, which is the most expensive one, right? And now I have the segment, so I will just save it. And from now I can basically target in all the tools I have, I can target these people. I can even export the segment if I want to target them on Facebook, but usually I use other tools that I have. And the first tool I will use, I can use the mailer, of course, that you saw, and I can also use to show some online messages, which is usually the most effective. I will use tool which is called Campaign. I will just say, okay, I want to add a new banner. I can choose from some template. I can put my own JavaScript or HTML, but usually I just use what is there. I can change some colors if I don't like the ones here. I will change the text. Here is the format. I will say where I want it displayed on the side. So let's say bottom right. Let's add a close button. That is always a nice thing to do. Let's add some special effect so people notice it. That's not used very often. And now I have the banner ready, right? Okay, it tells me I need the name for the banner. So here we go. And now the banner is ready, right? So this was 15 seconds. And now I go to another part, which is campaign. So I will say, okay, now I want to use the banner in the campaign. So here is creating new campaign. I will put some name there. I will choose the banner that I already just created. Let's do some A/B test. So test 2 different banners, and let's have some control group. Let's say only show it to signed-in users and only show it to those users with ad block. Now the segments, let's say there are hundreds of segments, obviously, so I can target behavior, I can target like previous payments, I can target the behavior of people. So let's say we can do like classical retargeting, right? So give me segment of people who visited main subscription window in last 24 hours. So they actually had intent to subscribe, and exclude those who actually subscribed. So now I have retargeting. And let's say let's not show this to people coming from Facebook and Google because I want a different campaign for them. So we will exclude them. We will say show it every 2 pages, display 2 times or 10 times, once per session. Let's only show this to people from Argentina, only show it on desktop, and that's it, right? So again, like in total, like 2 minutes, I have thought of and I have created a campaign that is now running on my website, and it's only being shown to some people. So if I want to do discounts, I will never give discount to all the readers, but I will have an idea of, okay, let's try discount to this one special group and see how they react, or let's just try a different kind of message. And then when I launch the campaign, I will see results like this. So here are the conversions for 2 different banners. And here is how much money I actually earned. Each banner brought me roughly 2,000 euros in that one day. And I have A/B tests, so this one is winning. So I should probably turn off this one and just try some other one to like constantly test against the first one. The last part is the PTI, which is machine learning component. So it's doing 2 things. First, it's calculating propensity to subscribe. So basically, the probability of if you see anonymous user, how probable it is that he will actually subscribe, and you see it in the campaigns, right? So you can see, you can just say only target these people who have high conversion probability and no one else. And the second thing is that it does is churn risk prediction. And you can see this is the CRM, so this is the profile of one user, so this user is not paying so much. So he's like in lower percentile, but you can see the churn probability is very low. So if the user will call that he's not happy with something, of course we will try to make him happy, and we will try to see what's wrong with the service. But we will not give him any discount because we can see that the machine thinks that he will actually keep subscribing. And of course, the machine is often wrong. But at least it gives you some information about what is the behavior of the user. This is just one small interesting thing. We try to reverse engineer the machine learning component in a way that tell us which signals are most important, and they are the obvious one, right? Like how often the user comes to the website, how much he consumes, and so on. So if you want to. Not everyone wants to create his own machine learning project. If you don't get grant money for it, then it's quite expensive stuff. But you can actually have proxy, like everyone has data about how often users are coming to the website. So if you just want to target people, you say, I want 1% of most heavy users coming to my site to contribute money. Then you can actually use proxies like this. How many times he was there in 7 days, what is the consumption, and so on, to actually target those people very effectively and leave those people who will not be paying alone and don't interrupt them because they are not going to pay it. So again, everything that I have shown you, all this is free. You can go to the website and you can download the software, and it's still being developed by like many developers. We have a couple of new versions every month. how the whole ecosystem works is that we oversee the product and we will keep developing the product because we need it for our survival. Like we are completely dependent on this for our business of selling subscriptions, and we are running on the same open source version as everyone else has, right? So if we have a new update in the morning, everyone in the world will have the new update in the morning. They can take it or they can leave it, but it will be there. Then if the publishers who are using it, and there are like dozens of publishers who are using it, they have different options if they want some changes, right? So in the CRM, it's quite easy to add normal things that publishers typically need, which is a payment. Like there is a special payment method in Argentina and you don't have it there, fine, you can, either a publisher can do it himself, or they can ask some integrator, or they can ask us to do it for themselves. And if they want to make some like huge change, which sometimes happens, not very often, but sometimes, it's quite normal for them, for someone to call us or email us and say, we have like a systematic issue with one of the big features, and can we make this kind of change so that it doesn't break anything and it allows us to move everyone. And this works quite effectively until now. And then there are a couple of companies who are just doing the system integration, just like they are doing system integrations. So if there is a huge project the publisher has and we don't have a capacity because we are focusing on the product, we are able to recommend a good company that can actually help publishers like in the long-term project. So how did we, why the hell we are giving out all our work out for free? First, this genuinely makes the software better, and there are like quite a lot of examples for this. So for example, we are a newspaper and we have no connection with audio, with video, but there is the biggest TV station in Central Europe actually is using the software, and they said, okay, we want to add a lot of features because you are not thinking about video at all, so we want to add things that will actually help us to connect to video. And we said, sure, great. And they did it, and they needed a couple of hours of help, and it was done. And now everyone else can use it. Second, there is a lot of feedback from publishers about like good ideas that they have, like how to sell more subscriptions and how to survive in these days. And it actually helps us sell subscriptions as well, because they contact us and they say, here is the idea, what do you think? And we said, we say, okay, it sounds great, and it will help us as well, so we will do it, and then everyone can be using it. And third and funny part is that we actually found out that it's easier to hire people for open source projects than to proprietary project, because the nature of software developers is that they like open source. And you also attract the right kind of people if you are trying to attract people who are not scared that someone else will read their code, but who are actually happy that someone else will use their code. So the last slide I have. So what you can do. First, quite often we are just saying like, don't even take the software, just steal the ideas. Quite often someone says, this is a great software. I like some part because it's moving nicely and it's very nice interface and so on. But I already have a huge proprietary system. And how do I include it? Sometimes we just say, okay, just copy the interface, just copy the idea and do it yourself. It's the most efficient way, and it's how we do it quite often. So it's like, don't worry don't be afraid to be inspired by something. Second, of course, the code is open source, so you can go and you can just use any parts of the code you want. It's the most it's the most open license there is, so you can even sell the code. You can do whatever you want with that. And third, if someone is thinking about serious project, then of course we can get in touch and we can try to help you if you are basically independent publisher, and if you are a publisher in need of having new reader revenue and having new revenue to actually survive in these days, as we in these days we are saying. So that was the presentation for myself, and I can see something blinking here, but I'm not sure if there are questions or not, but I will see. So you can, let's check, yeah. So I think you can raise your hand if you want to ask a question, and I will meanwhile try to read what you have written and see. Yeah,
yeah, so anybody can raise their hands and I will open the mic for them. And at the same time, there are some questions.
Some are in Spanish, so if there are some questions in Spanish, can you please someone translate?
Yeah. So there's a question about the API. If you have an API, there's
There are a
another
lot
one.
of So let me. So there are a lot of APIs. Like the tools, we expect publishers to already have a lot of different systems. So even the system that you see, it's not one big system, but it's like 6 different parts. And even in our system, they are just communicating with each other through APIs, because we don't want to have one huge thing. We want to have like separate things for separate products. So they already have APIs that are communicating together, and all of the publishers are using APIs to communicate with other parts of the system. So, of course, it depends like what API you need, but there are a lot of APIs for all kind of issues that so far there were there.
Hi, Tomas. I have one question. I'm trying to understand the part of the signing. So do you manage the porosity wall, or is something separated? All the signing process for paywalls is something that you manage?
We can do it. So our software is doing this for ourselves, but some other publishers are also using some other signing. So it depends on what part you want to use. So in our case, we are only using RAMP and nothing else. So RAMP is also managing the signing. Some other publishers have their own like front end or the paywall, and they just use RAMP for other parts. So it depends what you need. Usually it's like, what is your problem? What do you need? And then let's only take that part. So now someone is saying, okay, referring to the already got custom PHP CMS. So yeah, so we are using WordPress as CMS, but almost all of the other publishers are using some other CMSs. So there is API. There is not much communication between CMS and other tools. There is communication between CMS and Beam. They are exchanging information about the articles, and some little between CMS and CRM. But they are quite simple calls, So they are separate systems, and they can exchange information about what they need, but it's not very complicated, I would say.
And then I have a question too. So these different tools or different parts, can you use one part besides the other? For example, if I want to have a newsletter service, I can have only the mailer and newsletter thing, or I should have to install all the RAMP?
No, you can only take mailer, and we have some clients who only have mailer. So they are usually, CRM is by far the most complicated part. So that takes like 3 to 6 months, especially if you already have some existing customers and you need to move them, which is always problematic. But Beam, the analytics or mailer, those are quite easy parts. So you can do that in a couple of weeks. And usually publishers don't do everything at once, but they just start with one part, and then they are adding more if they need more.
Great. Is there any other question in the group chat, please, or chat?
I can see one question. Do you manage also porosity paywall? I'm not sure if I understand, but do you mean like? Okay, I will try to answer. But so you can have all kind of different paywalls. Some publishers we don't have a metered paywall, so we are just saying this article is logged, this article is not logged. You can switch, for example, between paywall and registration wall. So we do this in CMS, and we just tell RAMP, okay, this article don't ask for payment, just ask for email address, right? And there are other ways, like the general idea of porous paywall is the one that we like, and we are doing like a lot of the holes in the paywall. So for example, like 90% of our registrations are coming from a feature which is called unlock for friends. So if you are a subscriber, you can unlock articles for other friends, and they just have to put email address, right? So it's like a systematic hole in the system how you get articles for free, but it gets a lot of leads there, right? And then, as I said, the paywall itself is done usually on the publisher side, so that's done on your servers. So it's up to you how you set it, like if you have a meter and if you just have 5 articles for free and then it's open, or how do you want to do it? In general, we are seeing most of the publishers are using away from metered model, more towards like freemium. So I'm not sure there's like a huge future in meter model, but we will see. Like Prem can work with that, so work with what you have.
And another question is, how do you manage translations or localization of the software? Is this easy to do or to help on that?
The CRM has it's very easy because it's prepared for translation. So now we have it in 4 languages. We even have it in, someone did it in Arabic, and so we even have like right to left support. Because the CRM is where the customers meet the software, so you need to have the customer zone and invoices and so on in different language. So if you need new language, that can be done in a couple of days. And usually the client, we just send the text file to client and he sends it back and we have a new language. The other tools, which are only used by the newsroom, they are only in English yet, but there is not much text, So we would need more work. If you really need like everything in Spanish, it would require some work. It's possible, but at the moment, it's only the thing that are used only by the backend people, that's only in English at the moment. So there is one question, Victoria. I'm checking out the RAMP tool, which is very RAMP mailer. What would be the difference in terms of functionality with the likes of MailChimp? So we used MailChimp for like 2 weeks when we started 5 years ago, and then we couldn't afford it anymore because there were too many subscribers. So that's why we started building the mailer. It's not like, probably there are more features in MailChimp. It depends on how big you are. So if MailChimp is not expensive for you, and if it's doing everything that you need, then stay with MailChimp because it's on the market 10 years longer than we are, and it's a good software, right? The reason for our reason was for switching was that if you are sending millions of emails, then it gets quite expensive. And what we basically did is that we just did the front end for the email. So we are still using Mailgun as the SMTP. So we are still paying for sending the emails, but not like only like 20% of what we paid with MailChimp, because the front end is Mailer and the backend can be your own SMTP, or it can be Mailgun, or it can be some other services that are actually you can buy on the market and use. You can also buy the service for MailChimp and save some money because you are not using MailChimp front. So it depends on what problem you are trying to solve. Our issue is more for like publishers who are too big for MailChimp or too don't have that much money for MailChimp. It makes sense.
Yes. There's a new question there.
Can it be AWS? So we don't have, we are running, so there is a question like if it can run in Amazon Cloud, if I understand correctly. So we don't have, we are running on our own infrastructure. One client is running it on Google Cloud. So we know for sure that it works in Google Cloud because there is one implementation, actually like very big one. We don't have, I'm not sure if someone has it in AWS. So it should be possible, but it wasn't tested yet. So it would probably require some changes on your side, but hopefully not too much. You will probably take the version that is for Google Cloud, and you need to, like, we are not experts on cloud, but it would, to be cost effective, you would probably have to remake some processes so you don't spend too much money in Amazon, but it should be possible. Okay, is it difficult to integrate RAMP tools to existing CMS like Joomla and WordPress? So we are using WordPress ourselves, so everything is out of the box if you are using WordPress because everything is already there prepared. Joomla, one of the clients I think is using it. This should not be too much work, So again, because it's not very much dependent on the CMS. They are talking to each other, those two tools, but not too much. So it's just a standard API. If Joomla would require some special API, then we can just change the API on our side. But it should not be a problem. Generally, integration with CMS is not the problem usually. Yeah, I think that was the same question for PHP CMS. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, everything is in PHP. Everything is in PHP on the RAM side, and there are like two different frameworks used. But in general, we try to keep it like simple PHP, so it should work.
So please let any other question in the chat, or I think that they couldn't raise their hands. That's why nobody raised their hand, but they could write it in there. And if you need to write it in Spanish, I will try to translate it if you have and you are not sure to write it in English. We have like 10 minutes more if you want to show something else. Meanwhile, we wait for some other questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to scan if there's some question unanswered, but please just speak if there's no question. Is there any working?
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately there is no demo. So there is the website that I showed, ram2020.com. Like this is the question that I get, of course, like every week, and so we have a demo planned on the website, but probably it's like for next year. No, so we are doing a lot of presentations like these. So if you want to see more, we are happy to have like a Google Meet or something, and we can have 1 hour where we will show you a live system, and you can ask all kind of questions you have. But that's the way how we are doing it. So there's no demo where you can click around. It's partly because the development is so fast that it's hard to be adding features there as well. But we can. So just call us if you want a demo on Skype.
And if you have to recommend something to someone that will start with this, so they are not currently using anything, what is your recommendation to begin to use RAMP?
One thing that I want to say is that there is a certain size that you need for this to make sense, and the size is mostly like how many subscribers or how many paying readers you want to have in 5 years. And if this is a very small project, if you still have some other business model and you want to have 500 people paying or 1,000, it's probably it's probably just go to some software as a service that is there, like buy a piano or buy something else. Hopefully you have money for that. But even if it's expensive, like it's a bit easier implementation. And you don't need your own servers, and you don't need to set up all the structure, right? So I would not recommend we have the smallest client we have has maybe like, I don't know, 7 employees, and that's like extremely low number. But I would say like from 10 employees up, but preferably more than 20, 30. This is the right solution. The bigger you get, the easier it is to get through the first phase of you actually have to set up and so on. So that's the one thing, like how big this project is for you, and how strategic it is. Because even if you are a small client, but if you are betting all your company on that people will be paying you money, it makes sense to start with something serious, and then you can grow for 10 years and you will still have the same software. If you want just try some small experiment, and you are not really sure if this is the right way for you, then maybe just take some very simple software like Steady, or there are like 10 different SaaS softwares where you just get payments, just play around and see if you actually want to get serious and want to get something like where you can scale up.
Okay. So there's a lot of good messages to you and your team.
Thank you.
No questions, but a lot of thanks and a lot of good messages. I don't know if you want to say something else or show something else to us. I'm seeing on the GitHub, and you recommend Docker or to use Docker, right, for a common installation?
We don't. So again, now I'm a bit out of my depth because I'm a journalist,
Okay,
so I'm just
don't
pretending to
worry.
know the software. So we use it for some things, but I can't say exactly what. So if
Okay,
someone sends me a question,
don't worry.
Usually the first. So I will answer the question that I always get in every country is that okay? Usually people think yes, it's nice that you guys in Europe and in Western Europe, people are paying for subscriptions and people are paying for online content. But us, we in Argentina or whatever the country, in basically every single country, they say, okay, Argentinians will not pay because we are people who don't want to pay for news online. And that is systematically the one. I even got this question in Switzerland. Like in Switzerland, they told me, okay, maybe people in Slovakia are paying, but in Switzerland, people will not pay. This was about 10 years ago, but still it was the same question. So what we learned is that. So I would just encourage everyone to just think about this. Like if you are not thinking about online subscriptions, you should be, because publishers are systematically underestimating the value they are giving to readers, and they're always underestimating like uh, how many people are actually willing to support their work. They are overestimating how fast it will be. So quite often you launch something small and only a small amount of people will pay. But you should take it as like a start of a very long journey. And for us, the journey was even in previous paper. So in Slovakia, the payments were for online news are there for 10 years, and the first 2 years were just terrible. Like people were just complaining all the time, and they were telling us like you should go bankrupt because why you are asking money for people on from people on internet, right? So, but the attitudes are changing very fast. Netflix is changing it, Spotify is changing it. Actually, young people are so much more willing to pay than people in 30s and 40s, right? So I will just encourage everyone to think about this. We come the long way, and and the readers come a long way. And now just the question of finding the right strategy and actually getting the right tools to actually keep growing indefinitely.
Yeah, like Jean Philippe says in the chat, we already pay subscription for digital content, right? Like you said,
Okay.
Netflix or Spotify or other services, we are paying for that.
Yeah.
So sadly, still we think that news it's for free online, but not always.
Yeah, but it was the same. It was the same with the software 10 years ago. I was saying I will always be stealing the software. I will never pay for it. And then we were always stealing the movies, and we will never pay for movies, right? And we are paying for movies now. So there is absolutely no reason why it should be different. It's not going to be easy, but it's not going to be different. Like if you have a quality product, people will pay for it, but it will be a painful couple of years to get on the trajectory. But in the end, it will happen, I think, in every single country in the world. It will take another 15 years in India probably, because the print market is still going up. But I don't think like South America is so much different from Europe or other places.
No, and I think that this can change if a small payment is easier. Right now, sometimes it's more difficult to pay small charges than
Yeah.
big amount, right? So because of the amount of money that the credit card charged to you, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. So the
Okay, thank
micropayment.
you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the last sentence, like the micropayments problem was not solved and can be solved in like closed ecosystems like Apple, but I don't see like it working on site on website. So one thing we tried many times, and like we are always saying like don't ever try this, like it never works, is the micropayments on web, like paying for one article, because this is the single most often asked question is why can't I just buy one article? Just never do this. Like never allow this. The smallest amount is 1 month, because those people never come back who are paying for one article. These are kind of learnings that already 10 publishers learned, and you should just go and read the papers, and it's all there. So just skip the mistakes that we did in the last 10 years and just go directly to the profitable stage.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Thomas. I think was really interesting for everyone. There will be the recording for the talk too, and if you want to share again the email, okay, that I was saying that, so everybody can be in in the conversation with you. So thank you again. Hope that next year you can go to Buenos Aires and be in the media party in person.
I really hope that as well. I have never been to South America, and so I'm really excited about that. So hopefully see you there in person. If you see, I put the website here. It's ramp2020.com. There is the email address there. It goes directly to me, so you can use that as well. Thank you for attending, and hopefully
Tomas.
Be in touch.
It's been a pleasure to have you in Buenos Aires or in Zoom Aires.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much,
Bye.
and take care there. Stay safe.